Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fifth Shaw's Talk webinar in our Ask the Expert series. Thank you very much for joining us on a busy Saturday morning. Today's topic is preparing our children for Primary 1, or Kindergarten 2 children for Primary 1. My name is Dana Newman, and I am the Enrollment Manager for Shaw's Preschool Group, and I have the pleasure of introducing two wonderful educators joining us today. To give a brief outline of today's session, we have Imeelia and Serina speaking with us today about the topic through their lenses as both educators and parents, having gone through the same process themselves, the same transition period with their own children. We will then have a brief question and answer session to follow. So we'd like to invite you to use the chat function to send in your questions, and we'll try to get through as many as possible today. Imeelia Ismail-Tan is the Curriculum Director of Shaw's Preschool Group. Imeelia started her career in early childhood 17 years ago as a preschool teacher. She holds a Master of Education Early Childhood from University of South Australia. Throughout her career in this industry, she's held various teaching and leadership positions both locally and overseas. She's especially passionate about curriculum development and teacher training. So for the past 7 years, she's been responsible for those areas at Shaw's. A self-proclaimed play advocate, she believes in play-based approach to education because it's respectful to children, how they learn, how they develop, how they naturally are. We're also very happy to welcome Serina Teo, curriculum specialist for Shaw's Preschool Group, to our talk today. Serina has been a key part of Shaw's since starting her career in early childhood right here at Shaw's in 2005. She holds a degree in engineering as well as a Master of Science in Early Childhood from Boston University. Serina has taught from pre-nursery through Kindergarten 2 before moving on to Vice Principal at Shaw's and then Curriculum Director, and her current role as Curriculum Specialist. Serina is a proud mother of 2 who are now 20 and 23 years old. You wouldn't know it by looking at her. And Amy is also the proud mother of 3. How are your children coping with returning to school? Maya's in primary 3 now, isn't she?
Yes, hi everyone. Yeah, I do have a 9-year-old. Maya is in primary 3 now. I think it's been a good 3 months since the schools reopened, and thankfully the children have adjusted very well to safe distancing measures. We did have some things to get used to, but generally it's been really smooth. So, you know, as parents, sometimes we worry ourselves unnecessarily. The children are actually more resilient than we think.
Yep. And Ari will be starting primary 1 next year, isn't it? So with the new norm, I wonder how the primary school will be orienting the children.
Yeah, my second one, Ari, he's starting P1 next year. We have already been attending talks with the preschool and the primary school, and right this moment, we're receiving a lot of information about how the transition will be, how they're managing it. And it's good to know actually that the primary schools are equally invested in managing the process together with the preschools and the parents. With my son, Ari, the orientation will be just slightly different. Because instead of going through the tours as a big group, we will have talks and tours in small groups and virtually as well. So the schools actually have begun the process of transition much earlier. And the virtual tours, the virtual open houses are already available for us to view on the websites.
Okay, that's good to hear. Now, having a good transition is actually so important for young children when they move from preschool to environment to primary school. The change is actually huge to them. I mean, to the children, things have suddenly gone big. I mean, the classroom is bigger, the school is bigger. They can totally get lost in it. And that's very scary for them. So they used to see this same teacher day in and day out. And now there are a few teachers and they don't always get to see their form teacher. So we have to remember that they have to wake up earlier now as well as their school days start earlier. So on top of it all, they have to contend with some safe distancing measures. So that's really, really scary for them.
Yes, exactly. Some of you parents might be asking, you know, what exactly is this transition? What does it mean for our preschoolers? It's good to keep in mind that a transition is a journey. It's a process. It takes place over a period of time, and it's not a one-off thing. A child's transition journey actually starts throughout preschool and ends when the child has settled well into primary school. And of course, the actual duration would vary from child to child. When my daughter Maya entered primary 1, I felt secure and confident because to us, she was ready. Now, there were a few things that we looked out for. That's Maya, by the way, on screen. A few things that we looked out for. Firstly, that she knew what to expect. I think it's important. She understood the rules, the routines, where to go, how the classroom would look like. Secondly, she was also independent. The independence is a key thing in terms of taking care of themselves, in terms of taking care of their own belongings. There's also confidence. Confidence is important, you know. For Maya, I think she was ready to try out new things and to make new friends. In fact, I remember I was a little worried because none of her preschool friends would be graduating into primary school with her. So she would be meeting an entire class of new people. So I was just a wee bit worried because she didn't know anyone, right? But when I asked her if she was worried about that, she said, "Don't worry, mommy, I will go around and look for people who don't have friends and I'll go and make friends with them." So that really assured me. She also knew how to handle money, and she was comfortable going up to order and buy her own food, counting out money and checking for change. So generally, we were assured that she would readily share anything with us, that she knew that she could ask her teachers for help if she needed it. Okay. And above all, she was happy and excited about going to primary school. I think that was what we were most concerned about, whether she was ready psychologically and emotionally.
Yes, you're so right. If we look at school readiness, okay, it is not just about a child being academically ready. This is actually what most parents are worried about. More importantly, we should also be looking at whether the child is emotionally and socially ready to face the challenges. In fact, school readiness includes whether the family is ready or not and what the preschool can or have done to get the children ready. So children should be ready and eager to learn. And with the help of positive attitudes of the involved parents and support from the preschool, the transition experience for the children will be so much more enjoyable. So among the many changes they face, they will actually face changes in things like people and relationships. You see, new school means new teacher, new friends, new community. I mean, it's like now the canteen has so many different canteen stalls, holders, right? But previously in the preschool, we just have an auntie helping to serve food, or maybe not even that. And then you have bus driver, you may have to take a school bus now, that you may need to see the school counselor, you may have to go and visit the school dentist, so many new things for them to deal with. And there are things that we adults can do to support them through this transition. So besides supporting them to be socially and emotionally ready, they need to be exposed to how to interact with peers and teachers. And teachers are no longer readily available to them. I mean, there could be so many different teachers for different subjects. So helping the child become independent is another important factor. And in addition, we need to help them get ready for emergencies. So if I just talk about social emotional readiness, plus interaction with peers and teachers. So to young children, any form of change is a challenge. I think some of us adults will have that issue as well, right? We just don't like change. So it's even more magnified for young children. So they used to be the oldest in the preschool, and now they're the youngest. They used to be able to talk to their principal easily, especially in Shaws, okay? But in the primary school, they may not even know where to find the principal. So being sent to the principal's office, now it has a total connotation to young children. They also need to learn how to lose graciously, like during sports day. I mean, in preschool, typically it's sports day. Everybody have fun, everybody, win something, it's all about participating and being sporty. But now in primary school, it's no longer that. It's about, okay, this class, who are the top 3 that did this and that. So they need to learn how to lose graciously. So to help them face these challenges head on, grit and resilience are very important essential life skills to cultivate in young children. So as adults, what we can do for them is to provide security and unconditional love. They must know and be very comfortable with the adults around them to ask questions, to make mistakes and learn. Okay, adults should also be very encouraging towards the young children in order to cultivate a positive attitude in them. We can show, if necessary, role play and teach them how to interact and talk to their peers. and when to ask questions, when is what to do when they face difficult situations. Now, in this period, it's also important to teach them how to socialize with social distancing in mind and to help them understand that when a friend cannot be near them to play with them, it does not mean that they're no longer friends. This will actually show our children how to respect other people's decision as well.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I think as a parent and educator, what has always worked for me is open communication. We are always sharing information with our children and encouraging them to be able to share back anything with us, right? Now, how do we help the children be more independent? We need to give them more responsibilities and allow them to make simple decisions. Children can only learn to be responsible when they are given ownership of something. So one tip I can share is to tell your child that they are in charge of something. That automatically makes them feel important, makes them feel good about owning something. And it could be something really simple, like being in charge of ordering food at the restaurant when you eat out, selecting the movie for family movie night at home. And in our Shaw's preschools, children actually get a lot of decision-making opportunities. There are small decisions like which messy PlayStation to go to first, which books to read, which items to bring to school for show and tell, as well as bigger decisions like deciding on a project topic to study for 10 weeks. Now, how do we help them adjust to new routine? I think it's important to try and slowly move your child towards the primary school schedule because it's quite different from a preschool schedule. So this might mean adjusting sleep and waking up schedules, and then run through the sequence of the day with them. Also go through the transport arrangements like school bus timings, the route from home to school and back, and introduce them to their school bus driver. If you can, also do a few dry runs of their after school schedules because some of them might be going to after school care, some of them might be going home or grandma's place and so on. Now, how do we help children prepare for emergencies? It's good to make a list of important contact numbers. If you can, have your child remember your phone number and your address.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Imeelia and Serina, for reminding us how important it is to prepare the children for all things big and small. The smallest piece of information parents share might make a huge difference in empowering your child at a big school. You can see that. How about parents? How do we prepare ourselves to let go of our children during this time? Were you ready to let your children go?
That's a good question. For me personally, I feel that getting ready took me some time. I wasn't immediately ready. So it's good to start thinking about this early and prepare yourselves as much as you're preparing your child. When Maya was transiting into primary school, I was a little worried that she might go missing because in preschool, there's sign in and sign out, but in primary school, nobody signs your child out, right? And she was going to take the school bus home to grandma's place. So I actually, if you saw in the earlier pictures, she was actually wearing a huge blue watch. To her, it was just a watch, but actually secretly it was a GPS tracker. So I could see exactly where she was all the time. So that was one of the ways that I was, coping with that change for myself. So parents, you do need to get yourself ready as much as your child, right? What we think is helpful is before the transition, try and participate in parent support programs. It's always good to talk to other parents who have been through it. So talk to friends, family members who have had this transition before. And then attend parenting programs and do your research because the more information you have, the better you are able to deal with that change. And then after the transition, continue to have open communication, give feedback to the school or the teacher, and then continue to check in with your child. Always have conversations with them about how they're feeling, what they think about primary school. And if your child has any kind of stresses, fears, or concerns, then alert the teachers. If you can and if you have the time, it's also good to be involved in school activities. So sign up as a parent helper or volunteer so that you can be in touch with what's happening in the primary school. Now, on your child's first week of school, now parents at the end of the day, between you and your spouse, chances are one of you will be more ready than the other. So have the parent who is more ready to handle the drop-offs for the first few days of school because that helps. And this is exactly the same thing that we advise our parents for the first day of preschool as well.
So we've discussed a bit about what we can do as parents to prepare our children at home and to prepare ourselves as parents. Can you tell us what Shaws is doing to help the K2 children prepare for P1?
Okay, this one I'll answer that. Okay, for us, Shaws, we recognize the significance of this big transition. Right, it's a big milestone in the K2 child's life. So we spend actually a very substantial amount of time to help them get ready. So we dedicate an entire term to preparing the K2 for P1 transition in the form of a project. Another term focusing on life skills for children to gain more independence. And then in December, we give it another go to the P1 prep camp for K2s. So these are all done in fun and developmentally appropriate activities with a little nudge, just to push them up to the next level.
For us in Shaws, the main goal of our primary one preparation efforts is for our children to know what to expect. Yeah, this is important to us because in our experience, when the children know what to expect, they will feel safe, comfortable, and confident about going to primary one. A ready child should be one who looks forward to going to school. So how do we go about doing this? And of course, with social distancing in mind. Firstly is to build a strong sense of self in each child so that by the end of preschool, they have a good grasp of who they are, what they're good at, what they sometimes struggle with, what they like and what they don't like, and how they're all unique and special in their own right. We also build in our children a sense of belonging and community so that they remain positive and they feel secure about their preschool experiences and therefore continue that mindset into primary school. So for them to think, I did well and I had a great time in Shaw, so I'm also going to have a great time in primary school. We also empower them with information. Right from the beginning of kindergarten, we inundate the children with information about big school. We talk about the big classrooms, the uniforms, the canteen experience, and all that. How you shouldn't spend all of your money at the school bookshop. Yeah. So since June this year, the children have gone through various primary schools, virtual tours, virtual open houses. We've also organized Zoom sessions. This is cool. The children had Zoom sessions with Shaws alumni, those who have graduated from Shaws and moved on to primary school, so that they can talk to our current K2s about what to expect in primary school. So our K2s get first-hand experience from, their own. We also try and foster a new way of socializing. Like Serina mentioned earlier, right? Children learn to be more patient, to be more tolerant, and attentive whilst interacting with teachers and friends at a distance. Yeah. We build routine. This is important. Now at K2 level, we plan more opportunities for children to engage in independent tasks. Yeah, to start doing things on their own, even sometimes serving snacks to their friends. And we do this through a lot of communication, a lot of role play. We discuss case scenarios, and we have prepared the children for this as early as pre-nursery, actually. So it's an ongoing process. Actually, through our experiences this year alone, having gone through circuit breaker and then different phases of reopening, our children have already shown us how adaptable, flexible, and resilient they can be in embracing the changes in the way we do things on a daily basis.
So Amy and Serina, in summary, out of all of the extremely useful information that you've shared today, and we appreciate the practical tips that parents can apply themselves, what are some of the key things that parents should work with their children on?
Okay. I feel that there are some specific things that you need to look out for that are important. So for example, first, your child should be able to listen to instructions and follow simple instructions. They should be able to be comfortable in communicating their needs to others, to dress and feed themselves comfortably, to be able to share with others. It could be toys, materials, space, yeah, and even taking turns. In terms of literacy, your child should be able to understand and retell simple stories. Comprehension is key, and have a basic understanding of how numbers work. Okay, so number operations, understand how numbers are used in their lives, and of course to be able to know some sight words and high frequency words. This is important because if the child is able to read high frequency words, then he will be able to navigate through the texts and worksheets introduced in primary school. And if he's able to write high frequency words, then it will allow him to confidently express himself and do creative writing. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with what Imi has shared. Her list consists of both academic readiness and social emotional readiness, and it's always good to have a balance of both. So while academic readiness is important and the preparation alone, but the preparation alone does not guarantee smooth transition. So many educators, myself and Imi included, we believe that when it comes to preparing for primary school, over and above academic skill, and I refer to understanding of basic concepts, it is equally important to foster your child with social skills and independence, as what we have shared in the above talk.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us. We will go ahead now and go to the question and answer session. Thank you to those of you who have already sent in your questions via the chat function. We'll go ahead and try to answer as many as possible. And if there are any remaining questions, we'll be sure to answer you individually. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first question. Do the children do worksheets in K2?
Okay, I think I can answer this. Okay, for Shaws, in Shaws, as early as N2, children are introduced to activity sheets, but we do not do it as a homework or a drill. So most activity sheets come in different levels of difficulty to meet the different varying degree of readiness in the children. But these worksheets are not the starting point. They are at the end. They come after the children have been prepped with the concepts and hands-on experiences in the classroom. So the activity sheets just serve as a reinforcement. So we use this as an opportunity for the children to apply the concept they've learned. We do not aim at achieving volume for these worksheets. What's more important is that the children understand the concept. So that once they understand the concept, doing it on the worksheet is the easy part actually. But I just want to remind everyone that for children to work on activity sheets, right, it actually involves ability to think in abstract terms. At K2 level, they're actually just beginning to develop that ability to think in abstract terms. So not all children are ready for that at the same time.
Okay, thank you, Serina. Okay, next question here. How do the children learn to use money and handle change?
Okay, shall I take this one, Serina?
Okay.
I think this is a great question. A lot of parents are concerned whether the children are able to manage money, right? Because it's the first time that they've got to handle money on their own. Learning money itself is a significant part of the Shaws K2 curriculum. Okay, not only do we cover it in our numeracy curriculum, we also embed it in our inquiry-based project on getting ready for primary 1 in term 3, as Serina mentioned earlier, and then also in our Skills for Life project in term 4. So the children learn about dollar notes, counting individual dollar notes. They learn coins of different denominations. They learn how to count and get change, and check if they've got the right change as well. We also have a Kids and Cash program, which is basic financial literacy. Now, the children learn about money by touching and handling real money. Yeah, so in schools, we set up stalls for them to practice being the seller and being the buyer. We get them to practice counting out coins to pay for their lunch or snacks. Okay, and the teachers will set up different stalls as learning centers in the classrooms, so that the children also learn not only to pay and receive change, but also the conversation and discourse, right? To use proper polite language, to order something, thanking the seller and all that. So it's all part of that experience for the children. But having said all that, I think it's important to also note that parents teaching children about money doesn't only happen in K2. Yeah, in order for the children to start learning how to manage money, they have to be very comfortable with the fundamental skills that we've introduced way before, like more and less, number bonds, counting, number operations, place value, because they need to count the coins in tens, right? 10 cents, 20 cents, and all that. Simple addition and subtraction. So all of these we've been building in the children since earlier on, not just at the end of K2. Yeah. And of course, the children need to have a lot of fun with it. In one of the classes, the teachers are actually setting up a fake vending machine in the classroom. So the children can practice counting out, you know, they choose something that they want to buy, they count out the coins, they slot the coins in, and then something will fall out, like like a packet of biscuits or a juice box. So we try and do it in relevant, real, and absolutely fun ways for the children.
Fantastic, a fake vending machine in class. We have budding entrepreneurs and inventors on our hands.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, another question here. Will my child be able to adjust from a play-based preschool to primary one, where they may not have the opportunity to play as much?
Well, at preschool, remember that the children are not just playing; they're actually learning the concepts through play. So it is these concepts that will be used in primary school. And can the children adjust to different ways of learning? Yes. Towards the end of K2, we will slowly prep them for this. Am I right, Amy?
Yes, actually, if I may add to that, right, primary schools are now progressively more aware and more open to adopting more preschool-friendly strategies, like having learning centers in the classroom, you know, having the children move around, having snack breaks in the class, and all primary schools have a framework for managing this transition. And they adopt practices such as the buddy system, right, to help the primary one children shadow their older peers. In Shaw's preschool, what we do is we help the children to progressively increase their attention span to be able to focus on incrementally longer tasks and lessons, so that gradually they will get used to having to sit down and pay attention for longer periods of time. This helps them to focus and learn well when they start primary school. If I may add to that, right, I think some parents that we have spoken to pull their children out of a play-based preschool to get them used to a more structured environment in preparation for P1. Actually, in our opinion, it's not really necessary. You know, parents, your children have their whole lives, you know, from primary one in a more structured kind of environment. Let them enjoy their childhood. After all, you know, if you attended Serina's talk, play is not just play, right? They are learning so much through play.
Yes, you're right.
Thank you, Serina and Amy. Okay, another question here. Thank you so much to everyone for their questions today. Okay, my child doesn't go to Shaw's, okay, yet. I was actually considering pulling my child out of her current preschool to focus on her academics at home. From listening to you, what you are saying is that the other things are just as important or more important than just academics. Is that correct?
Yes, most definitely. I think we've just discussed it, right? So for all the reasons that we've discussed this morning, you know, academic readiness is important, you know, emotional readiness is also important. I think they're just equally important. So I would say that it's not necessary to pull your child out just to, you know, focus on academics at home.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay, another question here. I agree with all you say. The skills that you have mentioned are important for P1. However, with COVID, will my child's social and communication skills be sufficient?
Okay, I think I would like to answer this. You know, actually, your child's social and communication skills will be developed differently. They now have the opportunity to learn about how to deal with communication in a different way. They have to practice being more understanding and tolerant, because they will not be able to play with their friends as and when they want to, as close and everything. So they have to try and understand it from their friend's point of view. They must know that it's not because this friend doesn't want to play with me, but it's because we are in different bubbles, you know. So they also not forgetting that all the children going to P1, primary one, they are having a similar experience in K2. So everybody is going in with this background, you know, they have to practice social distancing, and they have been practicing that in their preschool at this stage.
That's true, that's right. Now, all the children going into P1 would have been going through the same things.
Yes.
Okay, one more question here. Guys, this is going to be our last question today, and then we will answer the rest of you separately. Okay, my child is starting to learn about primary one. Sometimes they come home stressed, saying they want to be at preschool forever. Is this the norm? Is this normal?
I think it's perfectly normal. Serina, shall I take this one? I think even as adults, right, we are all apprehensive of change. It's the same for children. So any kind of change, um, it's going to be a challenge. But as adults, I feel that it's important for us to start with ourselves, to be positive, to feel confident, and then exude that positivity and confidence back to your child. Yeah. Um, I think earlier on, I mentioned that in Shaws, we dedicate a big portion of time to help children prepare for this transition, you know, helping them to know what to expect. Now, if the preschool that your child is in is not doing that, there are still many things that you can do with your child at home, you know, as parents. So firstly, you know, if you could drive by the primary school, you know, or walk past it, and talk to your child about it. And this is what your school will look like. This is how you'll go in. You know, this is where you'll walk. And then, you know, go on to the school's website. Look at the new uniform. I think uniforms always are always exciting for children, right? Because it's like what they'll wear. You know, even if they get new shoes. About their new school bags. Talk about having bigger bags and bringing more things to school. Try and find out if any of your child's current friends are going to the same school, or if you know any neighbors in the area who might be going to that same school. I think that would help. And then as parents, I think we kind of know what are the things that our children will individually be excited about. It could be a personal table, a bigger bag, getting more independence, getting to manage their own money and having their own little purse or wallet and getting to buy things at the bookshop, for example. So just pick on these things that you think will excite your child, and then make a big deal out of it. So it sort of boosts their whole attitude and mindset about going to school.
Yeah, if I may add on, actually, very importantly, you, the parent, you should be positive and as calm as you can manage. And let the teacher know how the child is feeling so the teacher can address it from her end as well.
Actually, if I, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
If I could just add one more thing, I just thought of it. If you could share with your child your own experiences going to primary school. You know, I remember being in primary school and how carefree, you know, that time was for me. So if you're able to share funny stories, even silly stories about your own primary school experience, that would really help your child as well.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that would be really fun. I had a bad primary school experience, but that was many years ago when there were no prep for going transition to K2 to P1. So that's different.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy and Serina, for sharing your expertise and your personal experiences with all of us today on such an important topic for our parents. Parents, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to join us as well. We hope that you can join us again on Thursday, on this coming Thursday, September 17th. Imeelia will be conducting a talk, and that's going to be, what are the foundations for success? You know, what do children need to be successful in life? So we hope you can join us then. And thank you to those of you who have submitted your questions. We'll go ahead and get back to you individually, Amy and Serina will. So thank you, everyone. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.